fathead. You're the fathead.
It's time. You're watching the TDB. It's time for you to watch TDB. It's tea time.
Yeah.
Episode 460...
448.
48.
Yeah. This is our conversation before every episode.
Yeah.
In fact, next episode, which we'll film in about 10 minutes, we're going to have the exact same conversation.
Literally true. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Okay, Wuyi, what do we got?
We are doing a tea from WuyiOrigin, who has been one of our, constants throughout the last 5 years or so. Maybe even longer. And we are doing a Dahongpao, one of the big famous bushes. Dahongpao is often used as a blend between Rogue and Shui-Xian. At least that's my understanding of it. And this one is, sure enough, called a blend. So we will see. We're only filming 2 episodes today. So we are going to jam-pack this guy.
My God.
And go to town on some
This
Wuyi.
is spring 2022 material.
Yep.
And... oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We're getting into it straight away.
Yeah. And some people were hating on me for throwing away the rinse, but I'm sorry. I rinsed the tea. What you gonna do?
Deal with it, slackers.
Yeah.
Always love these teas. You can smell the aroma already. Quite nice. Very roasty.
Yeah, and this, of course, is the wash. More.
Yeah, I'm excited. I don't drink these too much at home. I really don't.
They're expensive enough that I kind of just drink them a couple times a week.
Yeah.
Not that they're really break your bank, but, it adds up.
They're a treat.
They're more expensive than, like, Tea Home or something like that.
For sure. Yeah.
And so, let's take a smell of this, which is definitely one of my favorite things about these teas, is just smelling them evolve each steep. What do we got there?
Oh, just like delicious sugar cookie, kind of molassesy, a little bit of a fruity after note. Quite roasted. Salute. Cheerio.
Cheerio!
Got you.
Man, I forgot.
Yeah. You always guess me on that. Got him this time. Take that.
Yeah. Cheerio! Fuck. I'm like, as soon as the lip hits the cup, I'm gonna
literally the most aggressive Cheerio. I was like that time when I got tea splashed on my face one time.
Which time was that?
That's a good point, actually.
I mean, I think it's happened for the best of us in our 448 episodes.
So, question about these: do you get that sort of like oolong category in this in any way?
I would say so. Not that you necessarily taste like heavy oxidation or anything like that, but I feel like this roasted category of tea is almost always oolongs. Maybe not exclusively, but very close to 100% amount of the time.
This one has a really nice kind of fruity after note.
I am also
reminds me of a phoenix.
Yeah,
it's like a light.
Yeah, I totally agree. I was going to say, this session in particular, really emphasizing that sort of fruit to it. And Phoenix, not far off. Perhaps a little bit darker, a little bit roastier, but I could see that sort of note definitely being in that too.
Yeah, really, really nice. And even though, James, this thing is packed full of leaves, it's, the aroma is so nice. Almost like a grapey thing going on there. These are really you can do that with this kind of a tea. That's the point. These don't. I mean, if you let it hang out for too long, yes, it would be tough. But in this context, it's really nice and potent. Yeah,
you'll notice that I'm keeping the steep time short.
Right.
And then one of those things I learned early on in brewing, in reading, I think Marshall and Zwag is like basically just stuffing the pot really full of these and just using short infusions, and it really emphasizes the rock taste. So that's one way you can bring it out, and you definitely can pick up on some of those like mineral characteristics.
Totally.
I mean, this episode has been sponsored by the Rocklickers Club on Facebook, so thank you very much to those guys sending me lots of good minerals and rocks. So shout out to Chris over at the Rock Lovers.
We love you, Chris.
Rocklickers.
That's the other thing we talk about that we don't talk about in the, you know what I mean? It's interesting. We actually have like a really beautiful spring day out today. This is almost kind of like cold, nasty weather tea for me, you know? Although I'm getting, you know, kind of that floral, and some of these Wuyis can have such strong mineral and not as much of the lighter flavors. This one is much more fruity for me, and flowery. Still, definitely lots of that deep rock taste, though.
Yeah, it's a good mix. I mean, this is a blend, and the idea is to kind of combine those different characteristics, and I do like how they kind of combine together.
Yeah, really nice. And there's like, if this was the fanciest dim sum tea, you know, I could kind of imagine that, like a dim sum place.
If you're not doing the poop.
Right. Yeah, just something really roasted and sweet. This one is actually quite sweet.
Yeah, it really is. Especially considering that usually when you brew with this much leaf, you're going to lose a little bit of sweetness along the way. So
really active in my palate after drinking this. I know my friend Sam, who loves these Wuyis, would really, really love this.
Yeah. It's definitely one of my favorite categories of tea as well.
And even though the leaves themselves are frankly pretty much pitch black, I mean, really dark, maybe slightly brown, but it's not the most, we're not tasting charcoal roast, right? It's not, you know, it's not bitter cacao. It's something a little bit different. Something that for me feels, a bit more, you know, like greener oolong notes, strangely enough.
Interesting, yeah. It combines those different aspects. I feel like that's a lot of what Wuyi Oolong is about, is like how it combines these different characteristics and sort of all comes together in this pretty interesting tea. Yeah.
God, this is great.
Cheerio. You know, I should track our British listeners after I started saying that.
Analytics, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like falls off the cliff.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and the French start listening, and they're like, yeah. Stick it to them.
WuyiOrigins, man. There are a few places that I recommend, and WuyiOrigins is one of them, just because it's just like everything is good. You know what I mean? And that's part of there are different strategies for different tea vendors, right? Some folks just want to have everything, and it's like you need to be a little bit more knowledgeable. Whereas if you were interested in this category, go to this vendor and just chat with them or pick something that looks interesting. Just another like winner here. So really nice.
And I think when you're brewing these teas, you don't need to reboil quite as often as you would for like a ripe or something like that.
Sure.
But it is good to reboil and keep that water hot. I am using boiling here. Just if you are newer to TDB, we use boiling for just about everything other than maybe like some greens.
Yeah. And even then, it just depends on the quality somewhat too. And some of those green teas can really handle it. Some white teas I find to be like the best to boil.
I know.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the evolutions I've had over time. I mean, I used to kind of think that like greens and whites you brew really low, oolongs maybe in between, and like puers and blacks.
Right.
But white teas. I think most of them, maybe not Silver Needle, but most of them can absolutely take the heat. Yeah.
Lovely mouthfeel on this. Really just like dynamic and very physical.
Yeah. The aroma slowly becomes simpler, which is something you'd expect, and kind of the aromas that linger are sort of that like more roasty, a little bit of minerals. It really kind of leans into like those rocky tones later in the session.
Yeah, so lovely. I know we joke about like the Rocklickers Association, but seriously, if you've been to the desert, you know, if you hang out in Utah in the United States or something like that, you just, I don't know, it just has that like essence in the best way.
Shout outs to Utah. First shout out, I think, you know, going for all the sponsorships.
Yeah, Utah, sponsor us. Visit Utah, sponsor us.
The Chamber of Commerce, Salt Lake City, bring it on.
So nice. Cheerio.
Cheerio. Yeah. It's just, for me, it's like, this is like a good comfort tea. I could have this tea year round. But yeah, I do agree that like this is definitely a good winter tea along with ripe. It just kind of those dark roasty tones.
Yeah.
Just very comforting, very warming.
Would you, in terms, because we're now getting a little bit into some of the deeper, slightly bitter, earthier notes, how do you think these compare to something like a really dank, old raw pu'er, just in terms of maybe like potency? Do you think that they're comparable? Do you think by definition, if you were to use this much tea for a raw pu'er, you'd be absolutely destroyed?
I think if you use this amount of tea for an old raw, you'd probably be okay, assuming it was like pretty old enough or dankly stored.
Yeah.
In fact, this tea might have considerably more sharpness to it than something like that. So yeah, I do think it kind of depends, but I would say that this is probably a little bit more on the potent end. But you can certainly get some extremely potent raw pu'ers. Like if you were to brew this amount of tea with like a really strong young pu,
God, yeah.
one might say,
right?
Then you're gonna get your ass kicked.
Yeah, really tasty. This is a great pickup for someone who's just getting familiar with this category, because it's just so approachable. You're getting the rock taste.
Yeah.
It's going to be, okay, so mom test.
Medium.
Yeah.
I guess it could pass, but it's maybe not the perfect one.
But compared to some of those like deep rogueways where it's just like stones, you know what I mean? Like I feel like this at least this is a bit more approachable on the palate.
I agree. You could probably use a little less leaf and even more approachable.
Sure.
I would say that this tea in particular, you touched on it, really is a good example of the category. Like if you're looking to get kind of just a benchmark taste of something that's sort of middle of the road, you can get Wuyi oolongs that are a little more fruity. You can also get Wuyi oolongs that lean more heavily into the rock taste.
Yep.
This one kind of straddles the line, and so it does combine all those things. So
really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, WuyiOrigins. Y'all are sweet. And go to their website. I think it's just WuyiOrigins.com. WuyiOrigin.com. And this is a recommend for me. Subscribe or not, like the video or not, dislike the video or not, send this to your cat. And we'll see you guys next time for episode 479.
Yep.
Peace.